Hello students. So today we are going to see a very important topic. Although it is easy, but still students don't know the properties properly. So we will speak on that. Okay. That is quadrilaterals. Quadrilaterals, they're types. Types. Okay. So before I start, my name is Santanu Das and I've been teaching from the last 27 years. And here I will try to explain with examples how to identify and how to use the properties. So let's start. So in quadrilaterals, the figures that we need to see is, first of all, let's write down the types of quadrilateral. That is parallelogram. Let me write it bigger. Parallelogram, rectangle, square, rhombus, kite, and trapezium. It's a very small concept, but still we'll consider it, trapezium also. So first of all, what's a quadrilateral? It's a four-sided figure. Four-sided figure. So let's draw the figure first. Figure. For parallelogram, something like this. For rectangle, something like this. Square, rhombus, kite, and trapezium. So these are the figures. Now we will discuss this quadrilateral by seeing one of its constituent. Like, let's start with side. Let's name this quadrilateral. Let's name all these quadrilaterals A, B, C, D. A, B, C, D. So, side, about the sides. In case of parallelogram, the opposite sides are parallel. Opposite sides are parallel and congruent. Parallel sign is this, congruent sign is this. In case of rectangle, same thing. Opposite sides are parallel and congruent. In case of square, opposite sides are parallel, and all sides are equal. In case of rhombus, same thing. Opposite sides are parallel, and all sides equal. So let's also simultaneously mark the thing. The same marking means all sides are equal. In case of square, all sides are equal. In case of rectangle, opposite sides are congruent, means AB is equal to CD and AD is equal to BC. Same thing over here. Parallelogram also the same thing. Opposite sides are parallel and congruent. And in this case, two adjacent sides two adjacent sides are congruent. That means this is congruent to this and this side AB is congruent to BC. So that is about the sides. Now how the questions are asked, they may give you AB is equal to 6 centimeter and they will ask you CD. So what you will do is you will write down this property that AB is equal to CD and write down the reason opposite sides of a parallelogram are congruent. And as this is 6 centimeter, the other side will also be 6 centimeter. Same case over here, they may give you some value, say AB is 3.5 centimeter in the square, and they will ask you what is AD. Now you will say that AB will be equal to AD because all sides are equal in a square, and so AD will also be 3.5 centimeter. So every time you write down that thing, suppose AB is equal to AD, don't forget to write the reason. Always you should write the reason so that teacher understands how well you know your concepts. Okay, so that is about the sides. Next is angles. Angles, in case of parallelogram, opposite angles are congruent. What I mean by this is opposite angle, that is angle D and angle B are congruent, and angle A and angle C is congruent. That means if angle B is 120 degrees, angle D will also be 120 degrees. If angle A is 65 degrees, angle C should also be 65 degrees. And adjacent angles are supplementary. Or in simple language, supplementary means, I'll write it besides it. Supplementary means 180 degrees. Their total means if this is say 120 degrees, this should be 120 plus 60. Angle A should be equal to 60 degrees because both after adding you should get 180. Or if I give you this is 120, then again you adjacent means the side ones. This plus this should be 180. So if this is 120, this should be 60. Okay. In the case of rectangle, all angles are equal. All angles are equal and they are 90 degrees. All the angles are 90 degrees in the case of a rectangle. In case of square, same thing. All angles are equal. That is 90 degrees. All the angles are 90 degrees. In case of rhombus, it's same as like parallelogram. Opposite angles are congruent. Opposite angles are congruent and adjacent angles are supplementary. That is, their total is 180 degrees. In case of kite, there's no such thing. No angles are equal, so we can put a dash. So trapezium we did not write. In trapezium, one pair of side is parallel. One pair of side is parallel. Okay, so this is about the angles. The next thing is about diagonals. Property of diagonals. In case of parallelogram, these are the diagonals. BD and AC are the diagonals. In the case of parallelogram, diagonals bisect each other. Bisect each other. In case of rectangle, diagonals are congruent and bisect each other. Bisect each other. In case of square, again same thing, diagonals are congruent and bisect each other. Now, what do I mean by bisect? We'll take an example to understand it. In the case of rhombus, in this, another important thing is diagonals are congruent, bisect each other at 90 degrees. Very, very important thing, that in case of square, the diagonals bisect each other at 90 degrees, because the rhombus also same thing, with a slight difference, that in case of rhombus, diagonals are at 90 degrees, means the intersection is going to be 90 degrees and bisect each other. Well, in the case of kite, also the diagonals intersect each other at 90 degrees and the smaller diagonal is bisected. Diagonals are at 90 degrees to each other and smaller diagonal bisected. What do you mean by bisected? It means it is divided into two equal parts. Okay, so to understand this, let's take an example. Suppose I say AB is equal to 6 centimeter, and let's give the point of intersection as M. AC is equal to 6 centimeter, and I ask you what is AM and what is BM. So we'll take the same example in the others also. Now AC is 6 centimeter. If AC is 6 centimeter, and as we have written, diagonals bisect each other, means it's divided into two equal parts. Means if this full thing is 6, means this is 3 and this is 3. So AM should be, as it's bisected, so it should be 3. You will write AM is equal to CM, or you can directly say AC is equal to 6 centimeters. So AM would be 3 half of AC, because reason diagonals bisect each other. So that is going to be 3 centimeter. But BM, now BM is the other diagonal. Now if I give you the AC value, from that you can't say what is the value of BM. So actually you cannot calculate the BM over here in this example. Okay, students, as their concepts are not clear, they just blindly write anything. Again, I'll repeat, BM is a part of the diagonal BD. Now as I gave you the value of AC and I did not give you the value of BD, so you can't tell what is the value of BM. With the same example, just consider here, if I would have written the same example here, now AC is 6 centimeter. So AM, again the same thing, diagonals are bisected, so it will be 3, and BM. Now in this case, as you can see, in case of rectangle, the diagonals are congruent also. Means if AC is 6 centimeter, means BD is also 6 centimeter, because the diagonals are congruent. So what I'm going to write is AC is equal to BD is equal to 6. Now I can say what is going to be BM. So BM is going to be half of BD, that is reason diagonals bisect each other. First, for this reason, I'll write diagonals are congruent to each other, and then diagonals bisect each other. So as this is 6, now AC is 6, that means BD is also 6 centimeter, and BM would be half of BD, that is it is going to be 3 centimeter. So we can calculate in this example. Same thing in this square, again the same thing. If I know one diagonal, as both the diagonals are congruent, so whatever the value of one diagonal, the other would be also the same value, and we can find out any of the values. Okay, in case of rhombus, as you can see, rhombus have properties similar like parallelogram. So in this case, again, if the same question was to ask that AC is 6 centimeter and they asked you what is AM, so that part you can calculate, because you already know AC is 6, so AM would be half of AC, that is 3 centimeter. But BM you can't calculate because you don't know BC and the diagonals are not congruent over here. Okay. Now, in the case of rhombus, their favorite question, they always give you the value of the full length of the diagonal, both the diagonals, and then they ask you to find out the side, one of the sides, or they ask you to find out the perimeter of the rhombus. So in this case, as you can see, let's take an example. Suppose I say AC is equal to 16 centimeter and BD is equal to BD is equal to 12 centimeter, and I ask you perimeter of rhombus. Okay, so or area of rhombus. Area of rhombus is going to be simple because area of rhombus is going to be half into diagonal 1 into diagonal 2. So the values of the diagonal. AC is 16 and BD 12. Directly you can calculate. But for perimeter you can't calculate because in that case, as perimeter of a rhombus is 4 into side. So first you need to calculate the side. Now how can we calculate the side? As you can see from the figure, diagonals bisect. So if AC is 16, means AM should be equal to 8, and if BD is 12, that means BM should be equal to 6. So I know AM value, I know BM value, so I'm going to use the Pythagoras theorem, that is hypotenuse square is equal to side 1 square plus side 2 square. Now when I'm going to solve it, that is going to be 64 plus 36, that's going to be 100, that is 10. So I'm going to get AB as 10, and then I can calculate the value of the perimeter. 4 into 10, that is going to be 40 centimeter. So that is how the property is used. Okay, in case of trapezium, one important thing is you may come across this isosceles trapezium. So what is this isosceles trapezium? Same thing, one pair of side is parallel, just that in this case the non-parallel sides are congruent. In case of isosceles trapezium, let me label it A, B, C, D. AB will be parallel to CD, and the non-parallel sides. Which are the non-parallel sides? That is AD and BC. AD will be equal to BC, and another important thing is the base angles are equal. Means, let me use 3-letter name to explain it. So it's going to be angle DAB should be equal to angle CBA. So that is the thing. So till 8th standard, you need to know only this much, and with this they ask you questions. So the good habit is every time you solve any sum, also you write the reason behind it, because from 9th standard onwards you have proofs, and in proofs, to prove anything you need to write the reasons. So you have this good habit of writing reasons right from your 8th standard. From 9th standard onwards, what happens is they give you a proof to prove a given quadrilateral as parallelogram. So in that case, see, in this parallelogram, the properties we wrote down, they can be used to prove that a quadrilateral is parallelogram. That is, if we can prove that the opposite sides are parallel or congruent, then it's a parallelogram. Or if we can prove that the opposite angles are congruent, then we can prove it's a parallelogram. In case of diagonals, if I can prove that the diagonals bisect each other, then it's a parallelogram. So in the proofs, we need to prove any of the three, out of this three, any one, and then you can directly say that it's a parallelogram. Even in your 10th standard, in the coordinate geometry, there are sums in the coordinate geometry where they have given the vertices of the 4 vertex, and they have asked prove that it's of a parallelogram. So basically in that also you need to find out the distance of AC and BD, and by midpoint formula you can find out the coordinates, and as the diagonals bisect each other you can directly say it's a parallelogram. So this is the thing. Quickly to sum up, you can see basically when questions are asked in the exams, or the most important is the parallelogram, rectangle, square and rhombus. So parallelogram and rhombus have some similar properties, and rectangle and square have some similar properties. So basically you need to learn this properties, and if you know this by heart, I've written it in the form of a chart so that you can note it down in your book and do try to learn it. Then this will not be useful for you not only in your 8th standard but also in your 9th standard and 10th standard. It will be very helpful for you to solve sums. So this is a concept. I hope you understood the concept. And any doubt you can ask me in the comment section. And thank you for watching the video.